Welcome to Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. And you can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys, the Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. It is game day once again as the Dallas Mavericks look to stave off elimination against the Golden State Warriors as they look to force a game 6 back here in Dallas. Can the Mavericks and Luka Doncic find a way to get it done in game 5 tonight to be able to force that game 6 on Saturday as far as the Western Conference Finals are concerned? Again, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all these Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. And again, you can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys, the Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Look, it comes down to the Mavericks trying to force a game 6, obviously. Having lost the first 3 games of this series, they were able to get a game 4 win on Tuesday. Now they look to put themselves in position to try and force a game 6 back in Dallas, which would be on Saturday. If all goes well, the Mavericks would be able to get this series back to Dallas, and then who knows how things turn out from there when it comes to how this team will perform in game 6 and possibly try to get it to a game 7. The question is, can the Mavericks do what they did in game number 4 to be able to force that game number 6 by defeating the Golden State Warriors tonight? Is going to be obviously tough. We all know the numbers when it comes to teams who are up 3-0 in the course of a best-of-7 series in the NBA. 146-0 are teams when they go up 3-0, but the Mavericks were able to stave off elimination in game 4, force a game 5 in San Francisco. And who knows how things will turn out. Obviously, you want them to be able to do what they did in game 4 by knocking down a bunch of three-pointers just like they did in hitting 23-pointers in game number 4, being able to get to the rim to be able to force the issue against the Golden State Warriors, but also play the kind of defense that, honestly, they've played in the last couple of games, holding the Golden State Warriors to 109 points in each of the last 2 games. When you look at their defense, obviously, what happened in game 3, you weren't able to get enough shots made from guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, and Reggie Bullock, who went a combined 2 of 17 from the three-point line. That was reversed in a big way in game number 4, where they went a combined 12 of 20 from the three-point line. So they know the formula when it comes to having to win basketball games, not only through the course of this postseason, but what you saw, what I thought was really good in game number 4, was that their style of play against the full course and full length and full roster, if you will, of the Golden State Warriors was able to get a win. And obviously, when you look at them winning the 3 out of the 4 games against the Golden State Warriors this year, the thing was they did not play Steph Curry, Draymond Green in a full complement together, but they were able to do so, or obviously doing so in this series, and they were finally able to get a win against the full lineup that the Golden State Warriors are putting out there. Again, appreciate you smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports. It is Inside the Mavs Live. Can the Mavericks and Luka Doncic force a game 6 versus Steph and Curry and the Golden State Warriors? Our game preview right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on 105, or excuse me, right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Again, some of the takeaways, obviously, from game 4 going into game 5 tonight. The shot making from the Dallas Mavericks. Can they continue that when you look at what they did overall? Let's take a look at some of the numbers from game number 4 when it comes to how they performed in game 4 in terms of the shooting numbers. Obviously, hitting 23-pointers was huge in that game. You look at their overall field goal percentage, shooting exactly 50% from the field. Q-Dog already in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Q-Dog, one of our Gray Area Club members. You can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month, just like Q-Dog here. Good morning, Q-Dog. Appreciate you joining me right here on Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. If you're in our chat room, make sure you're smashing that like button, get people to come on in as we get you ready for the Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors in game number 5 tonight. Appreciate you. Pavisetti in here as well. Appreciate you joining us right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Going through some of the numbers that we had in game 4 going into game 5 tonight that I think could be a big difference going into the game as far as the game for game 5 tonight. Let's see here from, Basuda, 002. I saw on Twitter the Mavs is apparently outplaying the Warriors in shot quality by a pretty significant margin. Do you agree with the stats based on the eye test? Yeah, so far in this series, they've been getting a lot of great looks. They just simply haven't got them to go down. The biggest evidence was that in game number 3, they had a chance to hit a lot of wide open 3-pointers. They weren't able to do so, but you saw in game number 4, their ability to knock down shots, going 20 of 43 from the 3-point line. They've gotten great looks, and they haven't had a chance, especially when you look at game 3, not knocking those down. But that has been, I think, based on the eye test and observing in these games, watching these games, being in the arena, yeah, they're getting a lot of quality looks. They finally got them to go down in game number 4. Super, what's up? Appreciate you joining us in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Marcelo Munoz de Rocha, appreciate you joining us as well. Let's go, Kevin Gray, praying for a miracle tonight. Let's go, Mavs. Look, the Mavericks can play with a joy and a freedom and a team that's going to be loose, hopefully, going into tonight's game. They've got nothing to lose, obviously, and they can let it all hang out on the floor. And that's what you're hoping, that they play with that kind of mentality to say, hey, it's us against the world. We know we're trying to make history. No team has ever come back from 3 games to none down to win a series in the NBA. But why not us be the first team to do it? And I think the best thing that you saw in game 4 that they'll need to carry over in game 5 is that you can't win all 3 games tonight. All you can do, and I know it sounds cliche, but honestly, it's true. One possession at a time, one play at a time, and continue to play the style of play that you're capable of playing against, and hoping that is what is able to beat the Golden State Warriors like you're able to do in game 4. And if you can do that, you can put yourself in position. All you have to do is go back to game 2. This team built a 19-point lead when you look at game 2, as we revisit some of those numbers from that game itself, and you saw what happened in game 2 there. This team dropped 32 points in the first quarter, dropped 40 points in that second quarter. They had a 19-point lead at one point late in the second quarter, and then obviously we knew what happened in the third quarter. All of those things started to go away. They stopped attacking, the primary defenders when it came to Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. They started going back to trying to attack, Kevon Looney. That didn't necessarily work out, just like it didn't work out in game number 1. So the game plan for me, if I'm the if I'm the Mavericks tonight, I'm continuing to attack Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, Andrew Wiggins. I'm trying to do that off the dribble, obviously, with guys like Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic, who can put the ball on the floor and go finish at the rim. Spencer Dinwiddie leading that second unit to be able to do a lot of the same. If I'm the Mavericks, I'm relentlessly attacking the rim and trying to force Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and these guys into actions, and then being able to blow by them, get to the rim. Because, again, as great as Stephen Curry is as an offensive player, he's not going to be able to stop these guys one-on-one. And you saw the very first play of the game in game 4. Jalen Brunson took it directly at Stephen Curry, got to the rim, finished, and got an and-one to put him up 3-0. Those are the kinds of things that we're talking about tonight that they can do and do consistently. Attack the rim and do so relentlessly, and force these officials, Scott Foster, who's going to be the lead official tonight in game number 5 in the Western Conference Finals, to make calls against these guys to see what you can do getting to the free throw line. Luka Doncic, who's had a 17 free throw game in this course of this series, he's going to have to be able to put himself in a position where he's forcing guys and trying to get to the rim to force pressure on these referees to make some calls. From Q-Dog, I'm quietly optimistic that closeout Luka is going to guide us to a win. We all know how Luka responds when you talk noise, and Klay did that at the end of game 4. Drive tonight. Fully agree with you there, Q-Dog, as far as what the Mavericks need to do. And look, playoff Luka, we know what playoff Luka does when it comes to these elimination games. He knows he's trying to put himself in position to be able to get to the basket and get to the rim, and averaging well over 35 points a game in elimination games. He's going to show up where the Mavericks are undefeated so far this postseason in elimination games. Appreciate you joining us right here on Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you're smashing that like button if you're inside our Mavs YouTube chat rooms to get you ready for game 5 tonight, as the Mavericks try to force a game 6 on Saturday back here in Dallas. From Montreal Garrett, Kevin, I'm so sick of fake fans flip-flopping. Whoever doesn't believe in this team, you are now a Warriors fan, and watch the Warriors lose. You're still not allowed to come back on our side. I like your energy, Montreal. Obviously, a lot of Mavs fans hoping that this Mavericks team can stave off elimination once again, get this thing back to Dallas, and you never know what happens in a game 6. But as we mentioned, you got to play it one play at a time, one possession at a time, win one quarter at a time, and then put yourself in position going into the fourth quarter to be able to be in a place where you can put pressure on Golden State to have to do things to try and win this game. From Ruben Jimenez. Ruben, what's up, man? The NBA might want this series to go longer, Kevin. You know how it goes. Laugh out loud. It's funny because the referee assignments have come out for today, and the lead official for tonight's game is none other than Scott Foster. Now, take that for what it is. Take that for what you want it to be. But Scott Foster is making his foray into a Mavericks series. Of course, we were waiting on him to possibly jump in the Phoenix series. It never happened, but Scott Foster is the lead official tonight for the officiating crew going into Game 5 for the Mavericks and the Warriors. So take that for what it is and see what happens in Game 5 tonight. And let's see if things can get extended to Game 6 on Saturday. But again, you go back to the numbers from game number 4, the Mavericks being able to get that 10-point win, hitting a barrage of three-pointers. They're going to have to do more of the same, penetrating. And we know how Golden State has played multiple zone looks, whether it be matchup zones, 2-3 zones, 3-2 zones, 1-2-2s, box and ones. They've done everything that they can to throw different looks at this Mavericks team. And one thing about Luka Doncic, when he has seen multiple looks throughout a course of a game or throughout a course of a series, he's able to compute and adjust to be able to make things happen and to be able to force defenses to make different decisions based on how he's responding to them and being able to handle his business by attacking the rim and understanding what defenses are trying to do against him. I think you'll see a lot of that tonight in Game 5 as the Mavericks try to force Game 6 on Saturday. From Q-Dog, once again, let's go. I hope they take your advice and force the calls and force the pace, survive the first quarter and the third quarter blitz. We've only handled the blitz once. Yeah, that's the thing I think you'll see from Golden State to start off the game tonight. I think they will try to come out in attack mode early on in those first 5 minutes to put themselves in position to try and get and run the Mavericks out of the building. They've got to withstand those early runs in this game because they're going to try to have their crowd in it, and they'll try to keep their crowd in it throughout the course of the game. If the Mavericks can withstand that and in some ways take out that crowd in San Francisco, they're going to give themselves an opportunity to remain poised and calm throughout the course of this game. Let's see here. Make sure you're smashing that like button again right here. It's Inside the Mavs live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. You can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. If you got a super sticker or super chat you want to throw in there to get your question answered, you can throw that in there too. We'll get you right to the top and be able to answer that question and super sticker for you. It's hard to play fast against the Warriors, but I agree we should keep attacking the rim. Yeah, the Warriors like to try and speed you up defensively, especially when they try to blitz Luka Doncic to get the ball out of his hands, force other guys to be able to make plays, off of those short rolls. And I think one thing you've seen somewhat throughout the course of this series is that when they decided to put Stephen Curry on Dorian Finney-Smith and then put Klay Thompson on Reggie Bullock, whomever Stephen Curry is guarding, they become the screener in that case. Dorian Finney-Smith has been able to make some plays out of that short roll when they blitz Doncic, force the ball out of his hands, and then be able to not only be able to make plays for himself, but make plays for his teammates as well. He's got to be able to do that. If they're going to continue to have Stephen Curry guard Dorian Finney-Smith, he's got to be confident in his ability to take the ball to the basket, to finish at the rim, or to be able to find other teammates to be able to make things happen. If Reggie Bullock is the guy that they have Stephen Curry guarding, there's going to be opportunities for him to be able to knock down shots from the outside because he's got a quick release. And if you decide to have him be the screener and you get the ball out of his hands, he's got a quick trigger. He can get the ball up from the three-point line to make things happen. And hopefully he's knocking down shots as well to be able to force things against the Golden State Warriors. But the Mavericks found out in Game 4 what the formula is. And honestly, it's been the same formula for them all season long. Defend without fouling, being able to knock down shots from the outside, relentlessly attack the rim, and then be able defensively to make things hard on the Golden State Warriors, force them into mid-range shots, run those role players off the three-point line, whether it's Jordan Poole or others, force them into shots that they aren't necessarily comfortable taking, and then be able to close out possessions with defensive rebounds. They actually won the rebounding margin for the first time in this series in game 4, out rebounding the Golden State Warriors. When you look at the rebounding numbers, 45-42. You're going to have to do a lot of the same things tonight in game number 5 to be able to win and try to get this thing back to Dallas. For Ruben Jimenez, time to get right or get out. Let's go. I like that mantra. A little callback to our show on 105.3 The Fan, of course. And you're right. For the Mavericks, you got to get right or you go home. It's win or go home. Obviously, when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks trying to force a game 6, if not, their season is over. But I think one of the best things about what happened on Tuesday was the fact that they were able to get that win in front of their home crowd to at least show and prove to them that, hey, that they were not going to lay down in this series. They're not going to quit. Luka Doncic saying after the game, look, I still believe that we can win. And obviously you said, Kevin, well, he's supposed to say that. What else is he supposed to say after winning a game like that, going on the road to play game 5? And I get it, but there's a lot of confidence in this team to be able to do what they're capable of doing. And I think the confidence of getting a win against this team with the Warriors at full strength was important for them, for their confidence and their ability to possibly do so again on the road. Again, they had a 19-point lead in game 2. This series should be tied at 2 games apiece when you look at how things went down early on in this series. And if you believe that, if you're a Maverick fan and someone who supports this team, you should have a little bit of confidence in their ability to go into Golden State and be able to finish what they started, unlike what they did in game 2, and be able to do the same possibly tonight in game number 5. If you're in our Mavs YouTube chat room, make sure you're smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports. It's Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports, getting you ready for game number 5 tonight as the Golden State Warriors get a visit from the Dallas Mavericks in game 5 of this series. From Romel Gerardo here, more minutes and more shots for Frank Ntilikina. Yeah, Frank Ntilikina wasn't bad in game 4. Went 2 of 2, hit the 1 3-pointer that he had and had 5 points. And he has been able to, at times, have some really good moments in these playoffs. And you're hoping that as these rotations for the Dallas Mavericks have gotten shorter, obviously, that he continues to play well and gives this team a lot of confidence on what they're trying to do in this game tonight to force a game 6. For Jonathan Borrego, Miles Turner or Mitchell Robinson, which would you prefer to Dallas? I mean, I would prefer Miles Turner, but, speaking with, Mark Stein yesterday during his Spotify Live, he's like, look, the Pacers, they want to retain Miles Turner. So I don't know if that necessarily is going to happen when it comes to trying to get Miles Turner here, but that would be the name that I would prefer given his versatility on both ends of the floor. Obviously, we'll have a lot of conversation about what's going to happen this offseason for the Mavericks once their season is officially over. Again, appreciate you smashing that like button inside the Mavs right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray, Mavericks Insider for 105 through the Fan. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you give me a follow there as well on social media. From Dotto, where do you rank Luka today? For me, he's number 1, even though he's so far a mediocre defender. He's far more better on offense than Giannis, no question about that. Yeah, definitely a better offensive player than Giannis in my mind. Got a lot more things in his bag that he can do. The step backs. He's a 3-level scorer, can finish at the rim, finish in the mid-range, can also obviously knock down 3-pointers. You want to see him be a better catch and shoot 3-point shooter going forward for the rest of his career, and more importantly, have an opportunity to become an 80 to 85% free throw shooter to punish teams when they do foul him because of his ability to finish at the rim, and then be able to make teams pay with easy free throws, when he has the opportunities to. But Luka is one of the top 5 players in this league. And I'm not just saying that because he's his third time being first team all NBA this year. He's one of the 5 best players in this league. And when he is at his full power, knocking down shots from the outside, getting to the rim at will, finishing in the mid-range, breaking guys down off the dribble, using his strength, and a little bit of what you saw in game 4, my man can play off the ball too when he really desires to and when he really wants to. You saw a beautiful give and go that him and Frank Ntilikina had in game 4. He can play off the ball. He just doesn't do it because obviously the usage rate and his running of the offense with the heliocentric stuff that they do with Dallas, with him being the primary ball handler, he's going to have the ball in his hands all the time, but he still can play off the ball. I want to see more of that from him throughout the course of his career. And obviously when he's committed to playing on the defensive end, he's decent. Luka is never going to be a fantastic defender, But what he is a capable one. When he decides to put in effort, he's a capable defender. And that's all you can ask from a guy, especially for all the things and all the responsibilities that he already has, especially on the offensive end for the Mavericks. Let's see here. I appreciate that, Ruben. Yeah, definitely smash that like button if you're in here not Inside the Mavs live chat room right here on 105, or excuse me, right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Appreciate you joining me right here. Inside the Mavs, like getting you ready for game number 5 tonight between the Mavericks and the Warriors. From Q-Dog, I know we are talking playoffs, but any insight on the draft for the Mavs? Who would you look to get? It's a great question, Q-Dog. I have not dove into my NBA draft stuff yet, obviously with the playoffs and stuff and everything going on. Just been hyper-focused on that. It's funny because for people who cover the draft, that's a year-round thing. Everyone has become much more specialized, and everyone's covering, specific things. I'm focusing more on the here and now with the team. I'll get more into the draft stuff, but we'll have conversations right here on Inside the Mavs Live as well about what the future in the summer looks like for this team and how they'll look with the number 26 overall draft pick going up this summer as far as the NBA draft is concerned. But great question there. We'll definitely get into that conversation as the summer goes on. From Montrell Garrett, Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie are better than Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, so they need to play like it. Well, I have to disagree with you slightly. Andrew Wiggins was an all-star starter this year for the Western Conference, and he has played a fantastic Western Conference Finals. The aggressiveness in which he's played with on the offensive end, attacking defenders like Luka Doncic and others, he's been extremely aggressive so far through the first 4 games of this series. I look for more of that the same tonight. And honestly, you can do that when you're Andrew Wiggins, when you got Klay Thompson, who hasn't necessarily been great in this series at all. But when you have Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green to really take pressure off of you, Andrew Wiggins can play his game. And his game is attacking, being able to finish with athleticism. You saw the dunk that he had and putting Luka Doncic on a poster. Like, he can do all those things, but he has been much more consistent in his aggressiveness and trying to make things happen, whether it be finding his own shot or trying to make plays for others. Andrew Wiggins has been really good in this series, and he deserves all the credit in the world for the way that he's played this year. By far the best year of his career, and he's really put it together so far through the first 4 games of the Western Conference Finals. Again, appreciate you joining me right here on Inside the Mavs Live here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray, Mavericks Insider for 105 through the Fan. Make sure you're smashing that like button. Tell everyone to come on in as we're live right now, getting you ready for Game 5 tonight between the Mavericks and the Warriors in San Francisco. Can the Mavericks force Game 6 on Saturday back here in Dallas? They'll need to do so in getting a win tonight in San Francisco. From TGK TV, really hope the Mavs can just push this series to a Game 6 at the very least. Yeah, that's what you're hoping, obviously, is that they get this thing to a Game 6, and then you take your chances on your home floor. Things get really interesting if you're able to find a way by hook or by crook to get a road win tonight and guarantee yourself at least one more game in front of this home crowd in Dallas on Saturday. Joking with Charles Barkley after Game 4 in which the Mavericks won. I said, you're sticking with your prediction with Mavs at 7. He's like, Mavs in 7. And he says, look, I'll see you on Saturday. So there's a lot of confidence for the Mavericks internally about their ability to go on the road to beat Golden State. Obviously, they'll have to beat this team at full strength when it comes to their starting lineup with Draymond Green and Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, who I expect to be better when it comes to the way that he's played so far in the series. He's gotten off to real slow starts in the first halves of games during this series. He's been better in the second halves of these games as this series has gone on. But you expect to be seeing an aggressive Klay Thompson early on in this game, I would think, to get himself going, unlike he's been able to throughout the first 4 games of this series. From Q-Dog, cool. While I'll enjoy the ride while it lasts. Let's go. Wiggins and Poole are playing out of their minds. I hope that they don't. Yeah, you got to make things tough when it comes to, Jordan Poole, forcing him off that 3-point line. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins has been able to be a playmaker on both ends of the floor. You got to be able to contain both of those guys to be able to give yourself a chance to win. From Micah Clark, Miles Turner could force their hand by turning down an extension. I understand the point, but I think they're motivated to keep him there and build around him, especially after they traded away Domantas Sabonis. He is their guy that I think they're going to be looking to build around for their future. But the Mavericks have to make an offer that the Indiana Pacers would not be able to refuse in trying to acquire Miles Turner, who, yes, will be coming home, obviously, as a DFW native, but at the same time, it would be tough to get him and pry him out of Indiana, especially knowing that they don't have really any other big man to build around except him, and he would become the focal point in what Indiana is trying to do there. Rick Carlisle, of course, former Dallas Mavericks head coach, running things in Indiana as their head coach there. Again, it's Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you're smashing that like button if you're in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Can the Mavs and Luka Doncic force Game 6 against Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors tonight? Getting your game preview right here on Kevin Gray Sports. You can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. You can become a Gray Area Club member there. You can also throw in a super chat, a super sticker if you want to support the channel as well. We'd really appreciate that if you did so. So let's get into it. Some keys to victory tonight and some things to watch out for the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors. Let's start with keys to victory for the Mavericks, obviously, here. You've got to be able to find a way to run these role players off the three-point line. I'm talking about Jordan Poole. I'm talking about, obviously, Andrew Wiggins. I'm talking about the other guys other than the big three. You've got to be able to force them into the mid-range to make them take shots that they're not necessarily comfortable with, whether it be Damian Lee. We've seen Moses Moody introduced in this series. You saw Jonathan Kuminga play. I thought it was really interesting that in Game 4, you saw Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody playing extended minutes together in Game 4. I don't know if Steve Kerr was out here, experimenting, throwing away Game 5, not necessarily taking the game seriously. But it was weird that early on in the first half, you saw them playing extended minutes together. I don't know if they were trying to just get them some significant playoff experience or what, but I was really curious as to why that they were actually doing that. But most importantly, it's about forcing guys like Jordan Poole off the three-point line, containing those guys and making sure they're not getting clean looks from the outside. And by doing so, you can force them into shots that they're not necessarily comfortable in taking. And obviously, when you look at their lineup with Wiggins, Green, Looney, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, those are going to be the guys that are trying to make things happen, especially Kevon Looney, who's been extremely effective in this series, averaging over 12 points, having over 12 rebounds a game. So far in the series was really kind of contained, obviously, in Game 4, when he only had, 1 of 3, only had 3 points, was a -20 in Game 4. So they've got to find a way to continue to keep him contained going into Game number 5 tonight. From Q-Dog here, Rick would be asking for Jalen Brunson, Dodo, and more for Miles. That is too much to lose, in my opinion. Yeah, that would be way too much, I think, to give up. But, hey, the Mavericks, I think, will be in a position, regardless of how this series ends, to try and make things happen in the trade market. Is going to be hard for them because they're going to be pretty much hard capped when it comes to their ability to sign guys in free agency, because Luka Doncic's rookie max extension kicks in at the beginning of this upcoming year. They're going to sign Jalen Brunson back. He's going to get a bunch of money, and they've got decisions they've got to make on guys like Maxi Kleber and Dwight Powell also to try and find a way to create some flexibility when it comes to finding trade partners, because it's going to be difficult for them to sign guys at free agency. They are going to be in the luxury tax. They're going to be paying that, obviously, with, Luka's extension kicking in, obviously with Jalen Brunson, his new contract. Spencer Dinwiddie still on the books. Tim Hardaway Jr. still on the books for $14 million as well. They've got some real decisions that they've got to make and how they're going to clear some room out if they're going to try and put themselves in position to be able to acquire a player via trade or a small piece when it comes to free agency. They've got, a mid-level exception they can use. They've got a trade exception that they still have from the Josh Richardson trade. They've got some things that they can use to try and make some things happen, but it's going to be difficult for them given their salary cap situation currently as it stands right now, and what it will be once they sign Jalen Brunson to a new contract this summer. But obviously that remains to be seen how all that will go this summer for the Dallas Mavericks. Again, make sure you're smashing that like button right here inside the Mavs Live. Can the Mavericks and Luka Doncic force Game 6 tonight against Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors playing in Game number 5 tonight? We were going through our keys to victory for the Mavericks, obviously forcing guys like Jordan Poole and others off the three-point line, making things difficult for them. On offense, you've got to be able to knock down shots. It's the name of the game. This Mavericks team is the poster child for it being a make or miss league. When the Mavericks are great, they are knocking down shots from the outside. They went 20 of 43, shooting nearly 47% from the three-point line in Game 4. They shot 50% overall. And more importantly, they're sharing the basketball. They had 30 assists on the 41 made field goals that they had in Game 4, by virtue of the fact that they were knocking down opportunities off of those immediate passes and were able to do so much better in game 4. They'll have to do the same going into game number 5 tonight. Not only being able to make the extra pass, finding the open man, but knocking down shots and opportunities when they have the ability to do so, to be able to have the ball move, not only just the ball movement, but a little bit more player movement as well. This team in Golden State likes to play different kinds of zones. We're talking about the 2-3 zone, matchup zones, 1-2-2s. They do a lot of different things, throw a lot of different looks at you when it comes to your offensive sets of what you're trying to do. How this team moves and finding the soft spots in those zones, whether it be attacking the middle of the zones off a dribble penetration, or more importantly, player movement by being able to have some of those backdoor cuts, finding openings within those seams inside of the zone there to make things happen. That way you can move the ball in and out to force that Golden State Warriors defense to be able to have to show and recover and move and make Stephen Curry participate on defense. When the Mavericks have been good in this series, they have made Stephen Curry participate on the defensive end, making him have to show and recover and play out in space, involving him in pick and roll actions to try and get him tired on the defensive end. Because if you can do that, we know how well conditioned Stephen Curry is as an athlete, but you've got to find a way to make him participate on the defensive end. And if you can find yourself having an effect on him when it comes to his overall stamina throughout the course of a game. But you've got to do that from the outset, forcing action on him, driving him, taking him to the basket, using the physicality, Jalen Brunson, Luka Doncic when you have the opportunities to. And more importantly, do not give this team and bail them out when it comes to their defensive possessions. If you're the Mavericks, do not settle for long three-pointers when you don't have to. Do not settle for outside shots that are low percentage shots. Force the Golden State Warriors to defend you throughout the course of the shot clock and then be able to attack the rim and be able to find those outside shots when you have the ability to. But do not bail them out with hard looks on the outside that can make things easy for them to be able to bail on the defensive end. From Micah Clark here, could they use the player exception and tax to sign Mitchell Robinson? It's possible. All of those things will have to be worked out when it comes to their salary cap. They still have that, trade exception that they have from Josh Richardson, which I believe is around $11 million. They got a mid-level exception that they can use as well. But at the same time, they're going to have to get creative when it comes to the salary cap and their front office to be able to acquire guys, especially if they need to be able to handle themselves in free agency and hopefully in the trade market this summer. From Jonathan Duncan here in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Hey, Kevin, I'm back in San Francisco for the game tonight, and I feel very confident we will win tonight. Luka has a way of winning. Look, that's what you're hoping. Luka Doncic and his ability to be able to play well in these playoff games, obviously, especially in elimination games, where you look at some of the numbers when it comes to him and his elimination games, he has been absolutely spectacular in playing in those kinds of games. And again, it's going to be up to his teammates to be able to knock down shots and their ability to do so in this game to consistently be able to be in a position to force the issue against the Golden State Warriors going into game number 5 tonight. When you look at Luka Doncic's numbers, especially in elimination games, Doncic averaging 38.3 points per game in 5 career elimination games. Obviously, he has been money in these situations. He went for 30, 14, and 9 in game number 4. Was lights out. Didn't necessarily have a great shooting night, but was able to stuff the stat sheet once again, as I mentioned, in 5 career elimination games, averaging 38.3 points per game, which is the highest in NBA history. When the stage is the brightest and the lights are the brightest, Luka Doncic shows up, and he, as a first-team All-NBA selection for the 3rd year in a row, you know what kind of performance that you're going to get. Also, when you look at Game 4, it marked the 23-year-old's point for the 23-year-old's 6th 30, 10, and 5 postseason showing. Only LeBron James had more of those kinds of games, those 30, 10, and 5 games before the age of 23. He had 7 of those in early on in his career. So Luka Doncic has been spectacular in these moments. I don't expect anything less from him tonight, obviously, going into game number 5, and they'll need a monster performance from him. But we've talked about throughout the course of this postseason when it comes to the Mavericks, it's about balance. Their ability when Luka Doncic can go for 25 to 30 points a game, 30 to 35 points per game, but not having to put forward those Herculean 45-point efforts. We know the record with the Mavericks when he scores over 40 points in a playoff game. I believe it's 2-6 lifetime when Luka Doncic scores at least 40 points in a playoff game. They've got to be able to have that kind of balance, to have other guys involved, and more importantly, get quality minutes in those non-Luka minutes. When we're talking about Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Frank Ntilikina, Maxi Kleber, when these guys are on the floor in those non-Luka minutes, that to me is going to be a big indication tonight and another key to victory. If the Mavericks can win the non-Luka minutes tonight, that's going to be huge for their confidence to be able to beat this Golden State Warriors team, because you saw when they were able to extend the lead in game 4, that was during the non-Luka minutes when he was on the bench and they were knocking down threes. They hit 8 threes, in the third quarter. Like, they were able to extend that lead and be able to do so without Luka Doncic being on the floor. They need to win the non-Luka minutes tonight to really give themselves the best chance to win in game 5 tonight. From Romel Gerardo here, what's your take on Kevin Durant joining the Mavs next season, and what is the possible trade scenario? I mean, everyone would love Kevin Durant on their basketball team. That's just not going to happen. I mean, they don't have the room. They don't have the kind of assets. They don't have anything that realistically, my man, that they could do to get Kevin Durant. I love the thought process. I love the thought, obviously. But, yeah, the Mavericks just simply don't have enough to even consider making a trade with Kevin Durant. From FAKC, Chiefs. All right, got a Chiefs fan in here. Of course, people don't know I was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. That's why I laughed when the Chiefs comment came in here. It's Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Going to go for about another 10 to 12 minutes or so right here. Going to be having a Mavs Spaces exclusively on 105 through the Fan on Twitter, so you could join me there. Going to be hosting a Spaces for Game 5's preview tonight on 105 through the Fan on their Twitter page as well. So make sure you join me there here in about 20 minutes as we get you ready for Game 5 tonight between the Mavericks and the Warriors. So for the Mavericks, again, forcing guys off the three-point line in terms of their role players, Jordan Poole and others, forcing them off that three-point line, making them hit tough shots in terms of the mid-range. Got to be able to knock down outside shots, which we know they're good when they're able to do that. But more importantly, find a way to constantly attack them and put yourself in position to be able to handle your business going forward, going from there. And if you can, you're going to put yourself in that best position to win a game tonight going forward and trying to get this thing back to Dallas for Game 6 on Saturday. So knock down outside shots, attack the soft spots of the zone because you know they'll throw multiple looks at you, run those role players off the three-point line, and then the off-ball movement of Luka Doncic and others to be able to put themselves in a position where they're forcing Steph and Curry and these guys to defend, make those guys defend throughout the course of the night to make things difficult on them throughout the course of a game. And if you can find yourself in it. Got to withstand those first and third quarter runs. We know that Golden State is known for those kinds of runs to be able to put pressure on you. But as I mentioned at the top of the show, you've got to stay within yourself. You can't win all 3 games tonight. One play, one possession, one quarter at a time. Win those non-Luka minutes if you're the Dallas Mavericks tonight, and then allow the game to continue to come to you and build on the confidence psychologically that you know that you can put together really good runs against this Golden State Warriors team in that building. Again, they were up 19 in game 2. This series should be tied at 2 games apiece going into game number 5 tonight. There's a lot of confidence on this team that confidence hasn't wavered and that they can be able to be in a position to handle themselves tonight. They cannot allow this crowd to remain in it early on. The Golden State Warriors will look to blitz them early to get this crowd in it early and often to keep them energized throughout the course of this game. Take this crowd out of it. Give them a reason not to be able to participate in this game if you're the Mavericks, and you take your chances. But again, play with that joy, that freedom. You can be loose. Let it all hang out. You're not favored to win this game. In fact, you're a 7.5 point favorites, underdog tonight. Go out there and play with that freedom to be able to handle your business tonight, and then let's see where the game takes you. Again, I'm not expecting the Mavericks to win. I do think the Warriors ultimately close this thing out, but that does not mean that they can't win in this building in Golden State. And more importantly, they should believe that they can win in that building, knowing the kind of players that they have and what they've overcome throughout the course of not only the regular season, but this postseason. They were able to win 2 elimination games against the Phoenix Suns. They staved off elimination in game number 4. They'll look to do it again, and they'll build on what they are so far this postseason, a team that has lived by the 3 and at times has died by the 3, but they've got to be able to secure rebounds, give themselves some more opportunities with second chance points and second chance rebounds to extend possessions, because one of the best ways that you can beat the Golden State Warriors team, keep the ball out of their hands, be able to secure some rebounds on the offensive glass, be able to get some second chance points, get some easy buckets to be able to force the issue a little bit. Because one thing that, the Golden State Warriors have been willing to do in this series, they'll take the 2s when they're available to them. It's not about them just bombing away from the 3-point line constantly. They'll take what the defense gives them and then be able to build off of that. If you're the Mavericks, you've got to find a way to ensure that you are not giving them extra possessions where they have been really good on the offensive glass. You've got to keep them off the offensive glass tonight and be able to do that consistently throughout the course of a ball game. And you give yourself a chance, to win. Again, you can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to subscribe to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. It's Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Just a few more minutes left before we get out of here. Give me your predictions for tonight's game. Can the Mavericks find a way to stave off elimination one more time and force a game 6 on Saturday? From Romel Gerardo here. I hope Nick Wright is right. Yeah, he's been on the Mavs train throughout the course of the season, predicting them to get to the NBA Finals. They'll need to get a win tonight to keep their season alive and keep his prediction alive as well. But yeah, those are my keys to victory for the Mavericks tonight. Be able to have the opportunity to keep them off the offensive glass, be able to finish possession with defensive rebounds, force these role players off the 3-point line, knock down open shots when you have the ability to do so, and then be able on the offensive end to really create some things by forcing the action, taking the ball to the basket, put these referees in a position to make calls tonight. Scott Foster's the lead official tonight for the officiating crew for Game 5. Put them in positions to have to make calls by forcing the issue and going to the basket, but play under control, and you've got to stay out of foul trouble early on. Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, Jalen Brunson, got to stay out of foul trouble early on in this game to remain on the floor, because we know how much the Mavericks depend on Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock, who have played more playoff minutes than any other player so far in this NBA postseason. And if they can remain on the floor and be the guys that can not only knock down shots, especially from the corners, where they were absolutely devastating from the corners. They were 50% from the corner 3 in Game 4. You're going to give yourself a chance to win tonight. For Jonathan Duncan, Dallas against Zach LaVine this summer, and I think Nico and Cuban will get something big done. Go Mavs. We'll see. For Montreal Garrett, Mavs 110, Warriors 104 tonight. He's predicting a Mavericks win. It's going to be a tough night. We're going to see. And how this first 5 to 7 minutes of tonight's game looks is going to tell us a lot about the confidence and the mindset of this Mavericks team and their ability to remain in it. Because you can't win games in the first quarter, but you definitely sure can lose them. And we've seen that throughout the course of the postseason, whether it be in the East or the West. Teams like, let's look at Game 4 in Boston, for example. Miami is up 2-1 going into Game 4. Boston raced out to a 29-11 first quarter. They led wire to wire and did not look back from there. Obviously, in Game 5, blowing out the Miami Heat. Once again, it's just been a bunch of blowouts so far in this postseason. You're hoping that's not the case tonight for the Mavericks as they take on the Golden State Warriors at game number 5 on the road, trying to force a Game 6 on Saturday. I'm going to get out of here for today. Really appreciate you guys joining me here on Inside the Mavs live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, subscribe to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Make sure you're smashing that like button, like the video so that everyone can see the video there as well. And again, you can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. You can also throw a super chat in there on our live video as well. Again, find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Subscribe to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Join me now in about 15 minutes on 105 through the Fan, our exclusive Mavs Warriors Twitter Spaces Game 5 preview. Join me there. We'll get more into this conversation about the game tonight and your thoughts and questions on how this thing will look for the Mavericks going into Game 5. Again, this has been Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Subscribe here to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.